Hello and welcome to the Jeff Ahern Show. Good to be back. I hope you all had a great holiday, New Year's, all that good stuff. I was a Southwest victim. That's right, along with many of you, I'm sure. And I thought I was going to be smart. I'm like, oh, I'll just go after Christmas, go see my mom for her birthday, my sister, and I figured, okay, go on the 27th. It's a good time to go. Pretty good airfare. Come back just on New Year's Day, and it should be just fine. Nope. Nope. Not good at all. I got delayed in Vegas, and then I got delayed for like 7 hours, 6 hours in Pittsburgh, or not Pittsburgh, but another state somewhere. That was Vegas. I was delayed in Burbank, then I was delayed in Vegas. Long story short, I got in, which was something, at 3 a.m. There was no cars at the car rental place. There was one guy still there, and God bless him, he gave me like his last car. My companies I went to were gone, and so thank you. Shout out to George at Avis in Pittsburgh. Thank you, George, for letting me get a car in the wee hours of the morning. Appreciate that, buddy. All right, so but one thing Southwest did do right, because they didn't do much right. The whole reason we couldn't go anywhere, anyone could go anywhere. On the day I was traveling, they canceled 2/3 of the flights. Was they were understaffed. They didn't have anybody there. And for us, it was always flight attendants. Every flight that I was delayed on didn't have a flight attendant. So it wasn't even a pilot issue. But what Southwest did do right, and I like, is they gave me a bunch of points. So that's cool. And they weren't like chintzy with them. They gave me 50,000 points. I'm like, all right, well, I will fly them again because I got 50,000 points now. Am I going to let that go to waste? Come on, I'll do that. So that's some good capitalism right there. Bad capitalism, screwing all your customers over at Christmas. You're gonna have to dig out of that, Southwest. Gonna have to dig out of that. But and that's a non-political issue. That's a unifier. Everybody, Republicans and Democrats alike, were hosed by Southwest. Right now, what's going on in the news? We'll start. I'll talk about Joe Biden. Talk about some of the things that's been going on just this week. The headline on Fox is McCarthy is still not there yet, and he is. I mean, it's when you say it, it just sounds comical. Like, come on, 12th vote. He has failed to achieve a Speaker of House status, get enough votes to become the Speaker of the House. I feel like at this point there needs to be a mercy rule. Like when kids are playing baseball or something. Pee-wee baseball, and one team's just beating the snot out of the other one. It's like, I don't know, 20-0, and they're like, all right, I think the mercy rule kicks in at 21. Well, can we at least maybe make the mercy rule for the votes maybe 20 or 15? I think 15 seems reasonable. Or if you don't get the speakership by the 15th vote, mercy rule kicks in, and we just someone comes over, pat you on the back, and says, you know what, go home, relax. There'll be another time sometime. Everybody go home. I mean, it's just sad. It's sad. How do Republicans, how do we as Republicans just expect to do anything? We can't even elect a speaker. If you don't like the guy, okay, then find someone everybody likes. It's absurd to me. It's absolutely absurd. And all I can think is, I don't know a lot about McCarthy. I don't even know how to say his name, McCarthy. He's apparently not well liked. Now, what's my basis for that? It's 12 votes in, and he still can't be nominated. He's obviously done a lot of things to upset a lot of people who just don't want to vote for him now. In the past, whatever that was, I don't know what that was. The guy's been around for a long time, and so they don't want to vote for him. So, okay, let's get somebody they want to vote for. Let's get somebody everyone can agree on. Because right now it's pathetic. It's sad. We look as a party pathetic. We can't 12 votes and we can't, and I was saying this to Mark before the show. At this rate, I think if we hit like 20 votes and we can't get this guy in, I think Pelosi comes back. So for the love of God, try to do something. That should be a rule. That should be like that. That would get the Republicans, would get us to actually do something. I think at least on the congressional level, we're like, listen, if you don't get this together, if you don't elect a speaker and you don't get all the votes that you need by the 20th vote, Pelosi comes back. All right, we would get it on the next vote. So let's put that kind of pressure on ourselves, that if we don't get it on this next vote, Pelosi comes back and maybe we'll get this done. I don't know. It's a bit absurd. It's a bit nuts. Okay, let's see what else is going on in the news today. I just shake my head at that. I really do. Good news that the football player, Damar Hamlin, is back. I mean, that was just really unfortunate. Again, that was something else I think, just human nature. We generally, as humans, like each other. We enjoy each other's company for the most part. And if we're not torn apart by our media, we actually give a crap about each other. And this guy, a very bad situation, and everyone was pulling for him. And the good news is, looks like he's going to be all right. I don't know if he's going to be playing football again, I don't know. He should be. I mean, it's pretty much a freak accident, but I don't know. After something like that, you got to figure he himself is going to be questioning whether he wants to come back to the game. Maybe he won't, but I think his team and their lawyers will. Savage. That's the world we live in, Here we go again. This is what I'm talking about with the division. Matt Gaetz says he will resign from Congress. He's Republican if Democrats help elect a moderate Republican. You know what? Then resign. Go. What I care if Matt Gaetz is in office. The guy looks kind of sleazy to me. I've never really liked the guy. He's Republican. He looks sleazy. I wouldn't trust him. He looks like he should be selling me cars at a less than reputable car dealership. You want to go? Go. Take your cleats, take your bat, take your ball, take your glove, and leave. You're not going to be missed. Like the ego on the guy. I'm going to go if you don't. You're a child. You're a child. And this is why we're sitting here 12 votes deep, and we can't even get a speaker elected. Biden is always in the news, fumbling his words, mumbling his mouth, just doing his Bidenisms. And it's so common now, the media doesn't ever cover it. If it was Trump, they would never stop covering it. He would have been run out of office because he was cognitively deficient, which he is. Biden. Years ago, probably before he would ever became the candidate for the Democrats. He should have been. Still, just to this day, I'm still shocked that they made him their presidential candidate. When they did, I'm like, oh my God, what a terrible move. The guy's clearly senile. He's got dementia. Here we are. Democrats don't have a high bar for their candidates. They really don't. If you got a big D, next to your name on the ballot, they're going to vote for you. Look at Fetterman. Did you see when he was not sworn in, but he had his picture taken with Kamala, and he looked like Lurch just moving around. They just kind of positioned him here. I mean, it looked like nothing was going on upstairs. Nothing. And I know you're like, this, that, he doesn't understand incoming stuff. Well, that's a big issue. I don't know that the outgoing's any better. But Democrats have proven, again, with Biden, it's free for all. It's game on. If you have a Democrat D by your name on the ballot, they're going to vote for you. They really don't care. They don't. We're seeing it. So Biden's flubbing his words again. He gave one of his little hometown colloquialisms that are the best because they never make any sense. I don't have it in front of me, but something to the effect of, it's a neighborhood like a patch on your pocket. And everyone's just like, huh? Well, all right, it's Joe. Just keep reading, Joe. I'm pretty sure that wasn't on the teleprompter there. Please don't go off script. They don't like it when Joe freestyles. So the big news with Biden this week is Biden is going to visit the border. He says he's going to visit the border. Tying the very impressive record of Kamala Harris of one visit. So you've got this huge problem, this huge crisis. It's massive in scale, massive. And Biden as recently as I think December 6th said, hey, I'm not going to go visit it. There's more important things to deal with. There's a lot of important things going on. I mean, the country's fallen apart because of you and your fellow Democrats. But this is kind of one of the big tent poles, if you will, or pillars, if you will, of the country is our border. And if you don't think so, well, you probably voted for Biden last election. But the issue we have here is gigantic. And you have even Gavin Newsom, who's a super lib. I mean, he's a gigando lib here in California, governor. He's even like, can we, for the love of God, I don't think he used the word God, but can we please get some control of this border? I'm getting overrun here. And when Newsom is saying that, Gavin Newsom is saying that, things are bad. You got Eric Adams in New York saying, hey, we got to put the brakes on this because they're looking around. They got all these migrants coming in, all these illegal aliens coming in, and they're like, they don't have the services to do anything with them. And then the money that they have, which is somewhat limited, granted, they'll just print more. causing more inflation. But that money is now all going to not all, but a lot of it that wasn't really intended for it is going to these new influx of migrants. And it's not like once they give them the money that's it. No, there's more coming tomorrow. That's the issue on the border. Right now, in January, I think the average number was 68, or December to January. I think the average number per day was like 6,800 migrant encounters a day. I mean, they're not disappearing. They don't just come through and then go through a portal and then just disappear. No, they wind up somewhere. You know, the Democrats, they'd like to keep them all on the southern borders, ideally in a Republican state, so they can try and citizenize them. That's a word. And get them to vote Democrat. I mean, that's all this is. It's a massive voter drive by the left. That's all it is. They know they're in trouble. They know that their fellow Democrats are looking around their cities. They're in ruins, and there's no one left to blame. You can't blame Republicans because they're not even in charge. Haven't been in charge of these cities for years. You can't blame cops because you got rid of most of them and left the ones who are there afraid to do their job. So there's very little interaction even with the communities at this point. Sad and pathetic. And that's a whole nother issue in itself, that the Democrats would sell out minority communities and everybody really in general just for votes. I mean, that's unbelievable. It's I don't have words for it. It's to do something like that is just, it's evil. I guess that's the word for it. And now you got them just everyone pile on in because at some point we're going to citizenize you. That's got to be a made up word. And have you vote Democrat just to keep our lousy butts in power. And the country going to pot. That's the result of it. What do we care? Look what we've done to minority communities over the last few decades. You think that's an issue for them? The issue is people keep voting for them. Democrats in these communities keep voting for them. Try the other team. You know, so Biden's finally going to go visit. They haven't announced where he's going to visit. I guarantee he'll have his teleprompter with him when he visits. Can't go anywhere without that thing. And then the problem is, even when he has it, he goes off script, and which I love because it just shows you instantly how far gone the dude is. You know, when he's not reading, even when he's trying to read, he's butchering the English language like nobody's business. You know, he's a serial liar. And that this is when he had his marbles. You know, that's why he had to pull out of the presidential election in the past, was because he plagiarized his resume, basically. He's making it up. He's still making it up. And the media never calls him on it, never takes him to task for it. They did back then, though, didn't they? When we must have had a semi-honest media back then. You know, back in the 90s, I think, when this all happened, when the first time he tried to run. Not anymore. Not anymore. So he's going to go visit the border. He's on his way. He's headed down that way. He happens to be in town because he's going to, I think, Mexico City for a leadership summit, which again is hokum. I'm sure that offended somebody. I feel like that's gibberish. It's nonsense. That's what I'm looking for. I'll have to look up hokum. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, I feel like it should be nonsense in Indian. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Anyway, he's going to be there for a leadership summit, and he's not a leader. He's not a leader. The teleprompter is the leader. Whoever writes the script for the teleprompter is in charge of the country. I don't know who that is. You don't know who that is. Somebody. Maybe it's a group. Maybe it's a think tank, or a dink tank. Better word for that. So he's not running the country. How do you know? Well, because anytime he goes off script on the teleprompter and isn't just fumbling his words or incoherent, which is often when he goes off script, and says something on his own that he believes in, and he says it well enough that you can understand what he's saying, immediately next hour, it's walked back by the White House. Well, okay, who's walking it back? The White House is walking it back, or, you know, whatever that is. The person who's in charge of the White House, the group that runs the White House, is walking back what our president said. Well, who's in charge? The White House. The White House has the end say. Well, who is the White House? It's not Joe Biden. The White House is whoever is printing up his scripts on the teleprompter. The White House is whoever is walking back what he said, and often having then saying the very opposite of what Biden just said as being the truth. That's who's in charge of our country. It's not Joe Biden. So I feel like whoever really writes the script of the teleprompter should be the one going to the leadership conference. That's just my opinion. Because they are the de facto leader. They walk back whatever they don't like that he says, and then they tell them what to say. Biden's not making really any decisions. If he tries to, they walk it back. They walk it back. It's madness to me. It's just absolute madness that this goes on, that the media allows it, and that Democrat voters really don't seem to care one way or the other. And this is why our country is suffering. So he's going to go there. He's going to make a visit, but in the end, it's a publicity stunt, and it's a publicity stunt to appease people like Gavin Newsom, who's rightfully upset. I don't think I'm ever on Newsom's side, but in this case, yeah, he doesn't have the money, the means, the infrastructure, any of that to support this massive migrant push coming in. Eric Adams, who isn't even near the border, he's complaining because Texas and Florida got smart. They're like, here, you like the migrants so much? You think it's just fine to have them just piling over? Well, here, now they're coming to your states. Oh, they got a minuscule portion of what's coming in the southern border, and they're already collapsing under the weight of it. Well, imagine actually being on the southern border, and so Biden has to, because in December he said it didn't matter, and now less than a month later, December 6th, so call it a month, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to go visit now because now suddenly it matters. It doesn't matter to him. It's never mattered to him. If it mattered to him, he wouldn't have taken away the power of our border agents to enforce border law. He wouldn't have been against, or he would have tried to eliminate Title 42, which is the only thing that was really keeping any migrants out at this point. Because basically, once that goes, it's a complete free-for-all. Luckily, that's been stayed, but he's still trying to get rid of it. So for him to go on the border and be like, oh, yeah, what's he going to say? Oh, yeah, I'm going to take care of this, and everyone's going to be happy, whether you're a migrant or American or whatever. Yeah, okay, thanks. Have a nice day. Oh, someone turned off the teleprompter, and then he'll walk off. Someone will have to direct him out because he doesn't know where he is. But in the end, he or whoever's in charge, going back to that issue at the White House, the almighty White House, like the Legion of Doom at this point, they have their agenda, and their agenda is more voters. More Democrat voters. So keep letting them in, keep letting them in, keep letting them. Sorry, Newsom, sorry, Adams, keep letting them in, keep letting them in, keep letting them in. Because at the end, all they care about is power, and what they're ruling over almost doesn't matter to them. Whether the whole country's in flames or just, impoverished or whatever. As long as they have an office, somewhere in DC, they're happy. And yet this is a somewhat free society that we live in, where we can vote. It doesn't have to happen. You have to give them the keys. And Democrats are just like, here you go. Here. Ruin the country, please. I'll be over there in the corner, in squalor. Thanks to you and your leadership for the last 40 decades. 4 decades. Let's downgrade that a little bit. There's a Bidenism right there. All right, let me see what Mark's got to say here. Also gives me a chance to clear my throat. But yeah, it's just, my head hurts from shaking it so much at the left and what they allowed. Mark says, we have a new idea. Jeff and Mark as co-presidents. Yeah, well, I'm right. Mark's left. It's a nice match. That's the perfect scenario. You have a balance. The perfect scenario is a no-party system where you just go on common sense and logic, but that seems pretty far off, doesn't it? And you said you thought you were stopping drug lords from Nicaragua, Mexico, and Haiti. I doubt that. That's from Mark. Because, there's no vetting going on. There's no vetting. Oh, that's what Biden said? Oh, well, then it must be true. Biden said that? That's hysterical. Well, let's talk about that a little. You got, what do we say, about 6,800 a day right now making contact with Border Patrol. So there's more than that, but that's the number, making contact. When they say making contact, Border Patrol's just waving at them, going, have a nice day, because what are they going to do? They're not allowed to enforce the law. If they enforce the law, Biden comes down on them. Mayorkas comes down on them, So they're props. They sit there and wave. They might as well be scarecrows, And so everybody comes across. There's zero vetting. You've got sex trafficked kids. You've got fentanyl. You've got drugs. You've got arms. You got terror. Anyone, anything, anybody can just pretty much come right across. Let's be honest. Then, and this may have changed, but what they were doing was they weren't even going to give you a court date. Like they didn't have enough room for you. So basically, they would say, okay, listen, here's a phone, which by the way, taxpayers pay for. Here's a phone. And we'll call you when we get you a date to have your court proceedings or your processing or whatever it is. So then they just release them. And now they're off. They're in the country. They're been bused somewhere or late at night flown somewhere, a la Biden into New York. When he would try and seed these new future Democrat voters in Republican-ish areas in New York. And so you got these immigrants in the country, and now it's on the honor system. They have to, when they get the call, like, oh, I better go back to wherever to go get my hearing done. Well, if you're a terrorist, if you're a drug dealer, if you're someone nefarious, you're not going to go back. You're in the country. Why would you go back? And even like a regular Joe, an honest citizen, probably, I don't want. What am I going to go all the way there for? They're going to kick me out. Thanks for the phone. In fairness, though, the drug dealers and the more corrupt would probably get rid of the phone because essentially it is a tracking device if used in that way. But I don't think our government is even smart enough to do that. Or if they are, they don't want to release that information to Republicans. Mark says, so it's all about the phone. That's our border policy. Is I think this phone that they get, Mark. I think they hand you this phone. They go, look, when we figure things out, because we can't look at the people still coming in. Just if you would just move along. Take this phone and we'll call you when we figure something out. That's pretty much what it is. Hey, we're gonna need more of them phones. Everybody gets a phone. So it's just, it is what it is, and it only is what it is because we allow it to be, and that we have to allow it. And the only way we can allow it is when we physically, when we vote for it. You don't even have to go to a polling station anymore to vote, and that's a whole nother area. The corruption of ballot harvesting. Basically, if you're a registered Democrat, the Democrats have it dialed in. If you're a registered Democrat, you're voting Democrat, whether you want to go to the polling station, whether you want to mail it yourself, whatever, you don't have to do anything. They'll just show up at your house and be like, you vote Democrat? Okay, great. And I don't know what happens from there, but basically, you do very little. There's no effort put in on your part. So it's almost like if it's a registered, if the number of registered Democrats is the votes they're going to get. There's more. There's no fluctuation because they ensure there will be no fluctuation by doing these ballot harvesting and a lot of chicanery. Hey, here's $5 and a sandwich. You're voting Democrat. Okay, great. Sign here. Thanks. Oh, no, that couldn't be happening. All the time. It's just big. It's happening. So Republicans need to get their game up, or figure out how to combat this, because that's what's going on. At a minimum, get on a level playing field. You got to be on a level playing field, because if you're both on level playing fields, well, then there becomes somewhat more of an honest election. But the fix is in with Democrats, and even with the fix in, they still lost the House, and the frustration level is getting to such that even I think people might actually use their feet, heaven forbid, Democrats, and be like, F this, I'm going to vote independent. I'm going to vote Republican. And then that puts a kibosh on Democrats' basic control of their vote, And so what's happening now? Well, we got this massive migrant push coming from the South, coming from our southern border, and all these new people moving in to take their place. And all they're trying to try and do is make them citizens. And in some places, they're already pushing to let non-citizens vote. I mean, it's happening. It's happening right in front of your face. And you either ignore it, pretend it's not there. Maybe you just don't care. I don't know, but you should, because the country eventually it gets a lot worse. It's already getting worse. It's already getting bad. Having Republican House is going to help, but history's going to repeat itself if we allow it. So wake up. Yeah, Mark says we need more indie voters. We do. We need more independents. Vote your conscience. Vote how you feel. Vote common sense. Party should have no play in that at all. But everything's about party. Everything should be about thought. Everything should be about ideas. That to me is a utopia where you're actually voting on the ideas. You're actually using common sense, and that's the most important thing. Not Democrat or Republican, but not which idea has the most merit. Oh, there's that word, merit. That's a third rail word for a Democrat to say. That alone should get you out of the Democrat Party. The fact that merit is seen as a bad thing, is seen as racist. Yeah. Hey, we want to fix cancer. We want to cure cancer. Who should we get? The smartest scientist in the world, who's just a genius and very likely will cure it, or Frank, who is this minority, handicapped, non-binary. He's not very good. He's like the lowest in his class in terms of actual science, but boy, he checks all the boxes. Sign him up. And that's the leftist ideology at play. Hire the best person. Make that the only qualifier, or you get what's happening. You have what's going on in the Democrat Party. You have their nuclear spent fuel guy stealing bags, stealing people's luggage from airports. Why did he get hired? He didn't get hired because he was just brilliant in the field of I can't speak today. Nuclear engineering, we'll say. He got his job because he was a non-binary dude who was very flashy about it. Wore a lot of makeup and heels. Get him. He'll look great in the pictures with Joe. Yeah, woohoo. That's why he got the job. How many people that would have done a better job at whatever his job was, did they pass over going, oh, look at that. Look at that is not a reason to hire someone. Their resume, what they do, what they bring to the table, that's why you hire them. But the Democrat, it's all look at that. Virtue signal, blah, blah, blah. And the country goes to pot every time they do it. Every time they do it. Oh, George Santos. I hate George Santos. That's that he's like a pathological liar. And here's the thing. He's a Republican. I'll call out my own. No problem. No problem. Democrats, you need to do the same. You need to be willing to be like, enough. Like Fetterman. What the hell? You should have called him out day one. Not day one, but after the stroke, and he clearly no longer had the Biden for that matter, cognitive capacity to do what he was supposed to do. Should have been out. Santos, from what I've seen, is a pathological liar. He's a criminal. He's a thief. Seems like a garbage human being. Get him out. Get him out, man. We don't need that in our party. At least leave that to the Democrats. Maybe he can change parties. Say I'm a Democrat, and then say he's also non-binary, and then Biden will make him vice president if something happens to Kamala. And that's not that far-fetched. That's how little merit matters for the Democrat Party. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling where we are at. That George Santos. Well, now George Soros, that's another story. That guy buys elections right and left. Who said that? Mark also says Argentina's cash has lost so much value in recent years. Sergio was banging. Oh, okay, yeah. So he's just saying that Argentina is suffering through inflation. Well, we are too, right? And it's just going to get worse because the problem is, even though they're raising the interest rates, the Democrats' cure-all for everything is just print more money. And if you just keep printing money, you can't stop inflation. And the latest omnibus bill, right? I mean, that's what they do. That's what they do. They print money. They promise money. They're Santa Claus. Here's some money. Vote for us. Here's some money. Vote for us. Or they at least lie to you and tell you, hey, we're going to forgive your student loans. Zoink, election's over. That's what they do. That is what they do. But it's just, it is what it is. And it is what it is because you allow it to be, because I'm talking to the Democrats. You keep voting for the nonsense. Stop it. Just objectively look, take party out of it. Look at what they're doing to your communities. And then say, would you vote for them if they were Republican? No, well, you wouldn't vote for any Republican. Would you vote for them if they were independent? You probably wouldn't. I guarantee you wouldn't. Well, you might. You're Democrats. It's hard. It's hard to put myself in the mindset of a Democrat because you're so willing to suffer and be miserable and think that's your lot in life. It isn't. It can be if you want it to be, if you believe it to be. And that's why the Democrat Party takes advantage of that. And they tell you, yeah, that is your lot in life. And we'll save you. So come on and vote Democrat. Yeah. I simplify a little, but I feel like that's pretty accurate. You think Mark says Republicans are equally crazy? Let's start a new party. At this point, I'm up for it. I mean, I don't know. Based on this whole speaker debacle, they got Congress. They can't even, they're 12 deep in the speakership, in the speakership vote. All right, let me see what else is going on. Let me check out the Post. I like seeing what's up on the Post. One of my favorite news sources. Oh, by the way, let me do shameless plugs. Check me out on Rumble if you haven't. I want to say thank you to the people of Rumble. They've been great. They've been taking care of me and showcasing my videos, so I so appreciate that. Check me out at jeffahern.com for all my material. And I also have Patreon you can check out. And TikTok, surprisingly, is letting me has let my last couple of videos run. They usually censor me insanely. I think someone must have fallen asleep or something. All right, so on the Post, we've got this crazy dude who slaughtered the Idaho people. I'm glad they got him. Thank God they got him. I mean, when you looked at him, like if you saw the picture, which I'm sure at this point you have, you're probably like, oh yeah, he did it. You know what I mean? Like some people you would like look at him like, I don't know. Is that he doesn't look like this guy? You're like, oh yeah, oh that's him. Like you don't even need to try. Like, oh yeah, he did it. Like he's just gonna walk in the court and 12 jurors could be like, yeah, guilty. Mark, you say isn't TikTok run by the Chinese? Yeah, but I have 65,000 subscribers there. So until I get them all to transfer over to Rumble, you can still go at it. But yeah, TikTok is everything they say about TikTok, I believe to be true. And I don't like TikTok, by the way. They censor the heck out of me. Why? So ask yourself this. Now, I just admitted, and I agree, TikTok is a Chinese entity, and they're getting your data. Everything I think that they say about it is true on the bad side. So why would TikTok choose to censor who they censor? Clearly, TikTok has a TikTok China has a preferred party that they would like to be in charge of this country, a party they feel they can, get away with the most with them being in power. Now, I'm conservative. My fellow conservatives are slaughtered on TikTok on the daily. We are kicked off. We are censored. We are algorithmed out of existence. Now, the left, you can do whatever you want. They're not censored at all. So China's preferred party that the Chinese government, would prefer to stay in power and have in power is the left. So TikTok is telling you flat out, we think the weakest party of the two is the left, and we can get away with the most with them in power, i.e., like heading over to Taiwan or whatever. And Russia does too. So we're gonna push them. They got a chosen party. Their chosen party is the left. Their chosen party is Joe Biden. Why? Because they know that they can get away with pretty much whatever they want while he's in power. He's a feeble-minded fool. And the Democrats they're buffoons. Nothing personal, Democrats. I have so many Democrat friends, but when it comes to politics, I don't understand them. I mean, people who seem relatively intelligent in other aspects of their life, and then they vote Biden. I don't get it. I don't. No, and I said the left has censored. Yeah, the left also is on Facebook. Yeah, it's always a leftist censorship. Now, China doesn't own Facebook. Zuckerberg does. But, yeah, it's always censorship of the left, except now you had Musk come into Twitter, and he evened it out, at least on Twitter. And what's happening with the left? The left is furious that the censorship has been taken away. They're furious that freedom is reigning once again on social media, at least somewhat, at least on that particular app. And they're horrified by it because they can't stand against free speech. They can't stand against contrarian or counter ideas, because the facts, when presented against a liberal argument, will pierce right through it and show the argument, pop it like a balloon. And they can't handle that. They need a controlled vacuum of their own facts, which are nonsense. Of their own narrative is really what it is, and they don't want anything to get inside that. So you can actually see how foolish the ideas are, or how poorly the policies will work if enacted. You can watch it take place in real life in Democrat cities, but somehow still vote for it again next election. You say Democrats love decentralization. I don't know about that. I think Democrats love centralized government. That's what Democrats want. That's a Democrat dream. Everything is decided by the government. I mean, it's socialism. That's what I feel the opposite. I feel Democrats love this. Mark saying that they like decentralization. They are centralized government aficionados. That's what they are. And you know how good things are when you leave it in the government's hand. Whether it be healthcare or roads or infrastructure. You have a private company. You say, hey, I want to build a building I want to build whatever, and you have a private company do it, it's done on time, it's done quick, it's done efficiently, it's done at low cost. You let the government do the same thing. Years down the road, they haven't laid a brick and spent billions of dollars. Look at the bullet train here in California. The budget for that balloon. I know people voted for that. That wasn't just enforced on us. I didn't vote for it, but that was a choice. It was on the ballot. You had to vote for the bullet train, and it was such a boondoggle. It was insane. The whole concept was insane. Building a bullet train from California to San Francisco, and based on just common sense, and that's why I don't get the left. Building a train from California to from Los Angeles to San Francisco. Based on the fact alone that it's government built, even if it is completed, the cost will be astronomical. It will cost you more to take that train from LA to San Francisco than it would to fly a plane, probably 2 or 3 times the same trip. Because that's the government. That's how the government works. Well, I don't think they've even laid a mile of track yet. And this has been going on for 7 years. And now they're talking about maybe getting it to Bakersfield. Nobody wants to go to Bakersfield. Meanwhile, $106 billion of waste. Well, it's not wasted. I mean, they're paying off their Democrat buddies. Someone's getting rich, and it's not the people of California. It's the Gavin Newsoms and their buddies. Their rich developer buddies. That's just getting rich. People own land maybe that the government has to buy and then not build anything on. That's just getting rich. Although some cases now they're even taking people's land to build this stupid train. And 20 years from now, I don't think this train will be done. But they'll still be requesting more money for it. That's Democrat centralized government in action. And it's disgusting. Okay. Mark's got other here. Where's your right? Wait a minute. That's what Mark wrote. We left the roads to the Republicans. How did we leave the roads? When did we leave the roads to the Republicans, Mark? I disagree with your premise. I feel like didn't they ram the interstate down minority communities in the 60s? You know what they did, and that was wrong then. Mark, you ain't wrong. And I don't know if it was the Republicans though. It probably could have just as easily been the Democrats, to be honest. But yeah, that was not right. I'll say that because it's true. Again, I'm not going to stand up for a party when they do something. Again, I'm assuming, Mark, that it was Republicans. I feel like Democrats are probably just as equally guilty. But I'm not going to stand up for someone or something simply because they have a Republican by their name. I'm not. If like this, the Yutz in New York, the serial liar and criminal who's trying to, dear God, to hang on to this office with his fingernails, he needs to go. I don't care that he's Republican. But that's you have to vote. You can have a preferred party, but at the end of the day, you got to use common sense in your brain. And if you're not willing to do that, then I guess you're a fool. I mean, how else do you say it? You have to vote with what makes sense. You have to use common sense as your guiding light, as your guiding force. Use that in all your decision making. And if you're just going to take a vote based on party, you're a fool. You can't do it. Now, right now, Republicans clearly own the common sense category, if you will. Their decisions, not all of them, but the majority of them, I believe, are based in common sense. They're based in merit. They're based in personal responsibility. You go to the Democrat side, it's based in victimhood. It's based in things will never get better for you. It's based in we're your savior, the government. And yet when you look at their results, these saviors of minority communities, they're atrocious. Record poverty, record crime, record murder, defunding the police purely for votes and making things, exponentially worse in minority communities because of it, as well as other communities because of it. And all for, to me, it's like a clear choice. Now, if the Republicans start doing the same thing and suddenly the Democrats become the part, which is a far-fetched fantasy at this point, become the party of logic and common sense, I'll switch. But that ain't happening anytime soon. If ever, Ugh. Democrat Party's damaged goods. It's crazy to me. All right, I'm almost done here. Let's see what else. See if there's anything else interesting. This is on the Post. Oh yeah, William. Ugh. I used to feel kind of bad for William. Like he was like, Meghan Markle's just this I don't know, just terrible person. I did a story about her. It was pretty scathing. It was kind of like kind of a brutal, I don't know. It was not nice. It was not pleasant. And it was like the only thing I've ever done on YouTube that got any I don't even bring up YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, but no one ever goes, it's never shown. But it's the only one on YouTube that I ever got like a lot of views on. I got like, I don't have a lot of subscribers there because again, they censor the heck out of me, but it got like 20,000 views or more. It's the only thing that I've done that other outside of entertainment. They let me have my little entertainment space, which I never use. You know, like if I do something on entertainment, they'll sometimes show it. But they showed the bejesus out of this one. So I got like 20,000 views. And the reason it got views is because they agreed with me. They don't like Meghan Markle either. I don't think anyone really likes Meghan Markle. All right. But the point of it is, again, that it's the leftist control of our social media. Because they agree with this, they'll give it some play and they'll allow it out of the box. But make fun of the Democrat Party, make fun of Joe Biden, bring up that merit matters, you know, CRT, whatever it is, they'll clamp you down and you're not going to get any views. Well, like I said, so in this article, I was kind of like, oh, poor William, you know, he's been bamboozled by this the she-witch or whatever you want to call it. He's been, you know, proselytized. I don't know if that's the right word either. But he's the victim in all this. I felt like he was kind of the victim. Like she just bamboozled him, came in, you know, all smoke and mirrors and got him. But now, this is in the Post. Harry blasted by UK military brass for betrayal, bragging that he killed 25 in Afghanistan. Yeah, that's like the level of idiocy involved in that is beyond belief. If you killed somebody, you know, you killed somebody, it's in battle, whatever. Okay, I get it. But to like talk about him, like, hey, this is how many people I killed. Ooh, look at me. Ooh, I'm a cowboy. That's how I imagine him now. Again, this is an idiot who wore a Nazi uniform at a Halloween party, and then he blames William and Kate for it. Like, oh, they told me to wear it. He's like, no, actually, when you read it. And I just that little blurb. He had a choice, like he could be like a shepherd or a Nazi or something. He's like, I'll be the Nazi. But he came up with the idea of Nazi. It wasn't like they said, "Oh, he'd be a Nazi." There's pictures of him online, you know, in this outfit. But so now he's bragging about all these people he killed in Afghanistan, and just the level of stupidity. He puts a mark on his chest, basically, because. You know, the Afghanis and any terrorist who wants to make a name for themselves, well, they know like, oh, this guy killed 25 of my countrymen of the Taliban or whatever. I'm going to take him out. Look at Salman Rushdie, right? The guy wrote the Satanic Verses many, many years ago. And there was a death, fatah or whatever it was put out on him. They want him dead. And nothing happened. You forget about it. Then like rando, like a year or two ago, someone comes up and stabs him, almost kills him. I feel like that's what's going to happen with William. He's going to be like, oh, okay, all the heat's died down from him. And then he's going to be at some like golf party or something, and some nut. It's going to be that's how it happens. They don't forget, man. It's coming. So just stupid to even bring it up, you know. But that I don't know. He's a big lefty, bragging about killing people. I just had a phone issue there. Oh, I think I'm still online here. Didn't realize that happened when I did this. All right. Sorry about that, Mark. There we go. Okay. Yeah, phone call came in and it totally took down my screen. So Mark says, didn't Harry go after him as well? After who? I don't know. The whole family's a mess. It's kind of interesting, but like now I don't like either of them. Like originally I just didn't like Meghan because I'm just like, oh, she just seems like an awful person. And now I'm like, oh, well, I get why they're together. I don't think Harry's any better. But that's that. So I'll end on some light. I'll end on some. It's kind of in the entertainment genre, I guess. You know, it's all nonsense. Prince of Darkness. Well, the Post it's my favorite paper, but they're really playing up the Harry, William, Kate, Meghan thing. Harry says, angry William wanted me to hit him back during attack. Who cares? I'm already bored with them. All right. And on that note, I think I'm all done. But hey, thank you for listening. Please do check me out on jeffahern.com. Subscribe. It helps support me. Also, check me out on Patreon. And as always, check me out on Rumble. Thank you so much. Have a great week. I will see you next week. God bless. Thanks always to my producer, Mark. And I don't know. Well, maybe by next week, we'll have a Speaker of the House. Maybe we'll be on vote 228. I don't know. One or the other. All right. God bless. Thank you, everyone. And I'll see you next Friday. Bye.
I'm a first-generation Filipino American. You don't always feel you're a part of the country you live in. It's this weird middle space sometimes that you have to live inside of. But when you meet others that are also living in that space, you'll learn to know that it's its own unique space too.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.